Toyota, Ford, Mitsubishi, Lancia and Subaru. These names are synonymous with the legendary Group A era of rally, which took the 90s by storm in the world of rallying, giving birth to some of the most iconic cars and drivers of our time, but none more iconic than the legendary Flying Scotsman, Colin McRae. Known for his if-in-doubt flat-out driving style, McRae is often considered one of the most influential rally drivers of all time. But how did he gain this status? Welcome to Racing Rivals, and this is Sainz vs McRae. The year is 1995 and Toyota are dominating the championship with their Celica GT4. With 2 world championships already under their belt and 2 prior years being only second to Lancia, they had an immense amount of experience. Subaru in comparison had been lagging behind with only a fraction of the budget of the monumental car giant that was Toyota. Needless to say, Colin had his eyes on the championship but had another hurdle to overcome: Carlos Sainz. Sainz was a well-hardened vet of rallying with 2 world champion titles already to his name, an incredibly skilled driver, a master at the wheel of anything he was dropped into. The championship that year had started off poorly for McRae, crashing out in Monte Carlo, handing the wing to Sainz with ease. This continued to Sweden, where engine troubles forced McRae to retire, much to his annoyance, with also Sainz winning in Portugal. With Sainz and McRae battling for every inch, every millisecond of every stage time they could find, the 95 season was shaping up to be one of the most incredible battles between drivers of all time. However, disaster soon struck for Sainz, where an unfortunate motocross incident severely injured his shoulder. This was exactly the break Colin had been waiting for. A chance for him to claw back points on his teammate and get back into becoming a championship contender. This was no more obvious than in Rally New Zealand, where McRae wrestled his Subaru to finish a minute ahead of Toyota and claiming vital points. This luck wouldn't last for long though. In Rally Australia, Carlos Sainz returned, and with fighting spirit. However, this was about to change. Midway through the 1995 season, Toyota were banned from rallying. Due to a controversial cheat on the car's turbocharger restrictor plate, Toyota were placed under a 1-year ban from entering the championship. The cheat was an ingenious idea which allowed the restrictor plate, which limited the amount of airflow that could enter the engine, to become freed up when on the stage. Naturally, with Toyota's removal from the championship, Subaru finally had a shot at the title against Mitsubishi. Subaru had very quickly realised that they could take the Constructors' title with ease just by getting the cars to the finish line for the next couple of races. So, team boss David Richards says to Carlos and Colin that they can race until the end of the day, but whatever position both drivers are at the event finish is how they will remain for the rest of the season. What followed was some of the most intense driving ever between drivers in order to gain position, and after some extraordinary driving, it was Sainz that came out on top. And here's the fun part. Once the event had finished, David called both Carlos and Colin in for a meeting and supposedly agreed that Carlos would remain in the lead for the remainder of the championship. Well, you can imagine how that went down with Colin. In true McRae fashion, Colin drove flat out and set some blisteringly fast stage times. Seeing what was going on, the Subaru team even attempted to slow down the Flying Scotsman by sending mechanics to wave him down on stage. This didn't work, and by the end of the day, Colin was on top. Carlos was not pleased. He told McRae his mind and raised what they had agreed. Colin argued that it was unfair, which ended up with Subaru making him take a 1-minute time penalty, changing the hands of the win back to Sainz.
So this was categoric team orders?
Yeah, that's what it was. I don't agree with it, but that's the way it is. I won the rally, why? We're fighting for the championship, why should I have to finish second?
So, it was now time for Rally GB, home turf for the Scotsman. With both Sainz and McRae sitting on 70 points each, it was all to play for. Colin, now fueled by his anger over team orders, was more determined than ever before. The crowds turned out in their thousands, energy filled with the support for the Scotsman and co-driver Derek Ringer. The rally already threw problems at McRae, the pair suffering early suspension damage, putting them over a minute behind teammate Carlos Sainz.
Do you think that'll be okay, Colin?
Yeah, it should be okay.
Good luck. Do you think it'll make Penrith?
No problem, Tony.
Forcing McRae to unleash some unworldly driving skill, Colin McRae is nothing less than untouchable on the British roads. This was his playground, his back garden. If anyone knew these roads better than their competitors, it was Colin. Blitzing Carlos Sainz time, corner after corner after corner. Then the final blow. Sainz damaged his radiator through a water splash, causing overheating issues. Colin was in the lead. His pace unmatched, his ability unfiltered. McRae took the win by just 30 seconds over his teammate, securing the World Championship on his home rally, solidifying him as one of the greatest drivers of all time. Colin McRae had just made history as Britain's first ever World Rally champion, a title only earned by Richard Burns 6 years later. Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz would go down as one of the most famous racing rivals in history.